Alright, so don't laugh at the state of my hair. It's a fucking mess. So right, so in this one I'm gonna respond to some comments. Let me try this might be easier. Okay, so I've not read any of these yet. So George, I'm assuming that says George, says, something just popped into my head. Basically, me trying to imagine how it must feel once this lands. This is something that you don't have to support by remembering the initial insight that I'm not really this, or whatever the insight is, correct? So that if you don't stop actively referencing that in thought and say be the character among others for weeks and months on end with emotional engagement, etc., then this will be self-evident and not like some old thought that one needs to recall, pick up from the old reservoir of insights and re-impersonalize, correct? Yeah, I would say so. It's like the there's something that's relating to constantly. It assumes it's here by relating to experience, and like I said in the last video, it's always relating to thought, because there's something in experience that's not thought, but you can't see that until this, let's say, first movement in awakening really clarifies. You don't. It's almost like it's in your experience, but it's almost as if you don't have direct access to it because there's a distraction here, which is exactly what you're describing very well. Something that's continually here, the thinker, the subject, and it doesn't know it's a thinker. It thinks it's completely real. It thinks it assumes its own inherent and fundamental reality of the thing that is obviously just here, and it's constantly relating to something other than itself, which is a thought experience, relating to a world out there, which is a thought experience, relating to thoughts in here, or a world out there that's not actually here right now, which is the thought experience. It can't directly relate to immediate sense experience or direct experience. It doesn't have access to that. It only has access to a reflection or interpretation of what it thinks this is. It's weird. It's so limited that way. It only works within its own world. So you're completely right. The insight is something that is never confirmed. It might be, but that's not the point. It's never confirmed from that subjective position. That's why people get confused when I talk in a way that's like, or talk to people that say I had an awakening, because that's not really what happened. It's never confirmed from that subjective position as a personal experience. It's inherent. It's inherent. It's weird because, like, someone asked me recently, are you able to tell if someone is awake or not awake? And it's like, my answer was, my experience isn't like that. My experience is all there is awakeness. All there is non-dual unity. That's all there is. And what is obvious to me is this function, the repetitive pattern that, by the way, is not specific to an individual. It's impersonal, and it can be observed common across multiple people. The same function. It's like really samey. It's really repetitive. It just adopts a different set of objective qualities, apparently. But it was very clear to me is this function, this subject object thought function, this pattern, when it appears or when I'm interacting with people. But that pattern itself is made of pure non-dual clarity, pure non-dual awakeness. So there's nothing that's not non-dual. There's nothing that's not already awake. It's kind of like that function gives rise to the experience sense that there's something that's already awake, that's already non-dual, that's pretending it's a person that has a story that goes like, I'm not awake, I'm struggling with this. Again, that annoys people because it kind of invalidates their experience. But you know what? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to invalidate your experience so that you can see right through it and see that it never actually happened in the way that you thought it was happening. It's quite paradoxical. But yeah, you're right, it confirms itself. It's already confirmed. Awakening something. This is something, if you're watching this or anyone else who's watching this, and between me and this commenter here, George, I think, if you're not quite sure what we're talking about, and this seems like these two people who are interacting here have got something that I don't have. It's not like that. You already know this. You already know it. It's inherent. That's what's amazing about it, because when this clarifies, it's clear that it's not something that you can lose. You can't lose it. What you are is made of it inherently. So it's just about kind of slowing down enough to see that the stories and the beliefs that we're telling ourselves that create an illusion, a personal story that says something like, I got it, I lost it, or I need to recall this spiritual experience that I had now in order to grasp it. It really does take a while to let go of that and see how simple it is. It is really that simple. Some people might need to hear that. It is that simple. It really is. You get to a point where it'll be like, you become aware of this thing that's trying, this monitoring experience, relating to experience, trying to confirm something, and then you'll become aware of something else, and the something else, it might be fobbed off as, no, that's not it. But then after a while you become aware that what people mean by letting go, that it is really that simple. It is really that simple. I promise you, it's that simple. And it's not a thing, there's nothing to it. But it takes a while for you to get to that point where you can just let go. And then it becomes clear that what I'm talking about here is so... I can't even really put it into words. And I've tried to emphasize this point, and there's this sense that comes with this of, I already knew this. This is so obvious. It can't be this simple. It can't be that inherent. That's where the massive sense of relief comes from, because you're not getting anything from this. We're not getting an attainment. It's actually too simple. It's like you don't need to do anything to get this. That's what's paradoxical at having a practice. The practice is to dismantle the habits of the individual that lead to the continual reinforcement of this illusory, felt to be real sense of self that is suggesting its own reality as the inherently always here separate subject that always has to relate to experience to capture it in a way that I'm going to understand it. but you never understand this. You don't have to have a referential thought towards awakening, referring to awakening, to be able to attain it. You can let go of all that. You can just let go of all that. What it is inherently, what this is inherently here already anyway, and it can't not be here. So what do you have to do to realise that? Nothing. Easier said than done, right? That might piss people off as well, but there will be, when you access this unformed awareness, unformed consciousness, infinite awareness, infinite knowingness, it's not like there is a subject here, like the familiar me subject, living life through that lens in a way where it can relate to the experience and go, oh, this is the infinite awareness. Oh, okay, now I'm infinite aware. It's like, it's those thoughts are made of it. So the thoughts don't matter. It's already confirmed itself. That's why I say, like, I think I might be a bit different from other people who talk about this in a way that I don't know if I'm biased towards this, because now all I can see is awakeness. That's all I can see. So I'm probably very biased towards seeing people as awake. Like, I don't believe the stories that you're telling me about yourself. I don't believe the stories that you're telling me you're like, I haven't had an awakening. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Relatively, yeah, that's your story, but I just don't believe it. Because I can see you for what you are, which is non-dual nature, which is pure awakeness. So I'm biased, and I might be a bit different in our people that other non-dual speakers, and that when I recognize the inclination towards this, when I recognize people talking to me about their direct experience and explaining it in an authentic way, I know, right? I know it's done. That's the awakening. See when you're lost in thought, and then you recognize you're lost in thought, and you kind of step out of it. You expand out of it for that split second. You're not in it. That's the awakening. You're stepping out of that. That's the whole thing. Once that's happened to you, and you know that, the deal is done. It's just about clarification. There are realizations. There are big realizations, like the first awakening, so to speak, where you exit that whole subject-object dynamic in the mind, in this way of relating to the world through that lens of subjectivity, of the separate subject. You exit that, and then within that you exit into what's here right now, the further insights clarify, and they they can clarify very quickly, depending on a number of things, I suppose. Even recently, right, there was another insight. I had another insight, because I don't like there was another insight here, because I might as well just say I had another insight, even though that's, the language is a bit off. But I realised that there was this fixation. So there was a fixation in the absolute for a while after the initial awakening, and I realised there was this kind of overlay leaning into the emptiness aspect of this, like the hollow emptiness aspect of non-dual, let's say, experience, right? The hollow emptiness aspect of no self. But recently, I went through a lot of kind of emotional stuff coming up, because whenever one of these insights happens, it tends to come for me with a wave of stuff, and that wave of stuff, strangely, like how do you, like, synchronized or synchronicity. It has a synchronicity with life circumstances, which is weird because you start to see how everything's just connected. It's not about me and this personal journey. All of this, something came up in it at the same time, and it was a synchronicity, and there was like what people would in these circles refer to as shadow material. I'm not totally, that's a Jungian term, I'm not totally keen on that term personally, but I'll use it. That came up and it moved, and as that moved, an aspect of experience came into experience. Aspect of this came in fully, and that's like what I would probably describe as the fullness aspect, or the love aspect, to balance this out. And I'm not even going to bother trying to. Oh, I'll give it a go to try and describe what it's like. It's like a. Right, what it's like is like an intelligence in this, whatever this is, manifesting it as like a. I think Frank Yang said something like a cosmic octopus with all its different parts moving as one seamless, intelligent life form, inexclusive of anything, all moving as a seamless, intelligent life form, as this unified expression of emptiness. And in that there's like a transcendent, obvious love that's in it. But I felt that up until this point there was an over fixation in there was like a hollowness, this like transparent, see-through emptiness in experience, and I think that fixation was there due to this, so to speak, shadow material that was leading to fixate in that emptiness aspect. Also with the fullness aspect, the insight of dependent origination seems to be more viscerally felt as well. So this just gets more and more incredible. It just never stops. It's just mental. Like, it's absolutely mental. You're just blown away by it all the time when when you're no longer inclined to ignore things anymore. I've kind of burned through a lot of time with this question, so let me see, what time are we at? Shall we do another one? Right, let's see. Right, we'll do one more, okay? Did I answer that question? I don't know. Hopefully I answered the question. But yeah, you're right, and you explained that very well. Okay, so let me do the. Okay, so this is the same person. George says, "Holy smoke, something moved, like with no other video I've watched for a long time, but the resistance is real and the mind wants to understand this and claim it for itself, blocking the entrance, or at least that's how it felt for me. Like, okay, which one of us is going to get there first. Is that something you can relate to? Or am I, for whatever reason, needlessly stuck to this idea of having to be at war with myself, the ego, the rational mind, and the matrix sentinels to get there? Yeah, there's like for a while in this, which is what you're describing there, for a while in this, there's like I've been talking about this a lot recently. There's a distinction for a while between the relative self, the individual character, and then whatever we realise in that first awakening as the ultimate nature of reality. And that doesn't really reconcile itself until the deeper stages of this, really. I could kind of describe it like, and that's what kind of leads to there's a tension and struggle and a sense of disjoint or discord or struggle to integrate the realization into relative life. So you might be experiencing some of that as well. What I would describe the dismantling of that as, it's all in thought. It's just continually in that insight, looking into experience and seeing where is the separation, where am I suggesting, believing, behaving and thinking from this assumption of separation. So is there a me in here separate from my thoughts relating to experience? Is there a me here in this body separate from the world out there? Is there a need to hold a point of view all the time? Are the thoughts separate from what's realised? No matter what they're saying, is the sense of thought somehow separate from non-dual nature? Is there any separation anywhere? And dismantling that will lead to less distinction between different parts of experience. And it seems like these different parts of experience are at odds with each other at sometimes, and they're kind of struggling in a internal battle, kind of like what you're describing. I got the same thing as well. But that calms down and it just gets more simple. There's a big part of that, the suggested in agency, autonomy, which is the time thing. It's the character and time thing. So we can do a lot of direct work and see, like, where is the one that's in control of thought? Where is the thought coming from? I mean, you can easily see that there's no one in control of thought. The thoughts that give rise to that appear out of nothing without an agent, without your control. You can easily prove that to yourself, but to really realise that, awakening has to deepen and mature a bit, such that things get so simultaneous and immediate that there's like no distinction anymore. There's no effort or struggle. Things just happen spontaneously, or it's seen that was always the case. This was always just happening spontaneously and is right now. There's no one in here separate from it, instigating, planning, causing as an agent in the way that was felt to be. Like, I'm talking right now and the words are just coming out of my mouth completely spontaneously. There's no effort in it, there's no planning in it, there's no person in here thinking, what am I going to say next? What should I say next? Okay, now I read that, and then now I have to plan what I'm going to say by using rational blah, 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 blah. You know, it just comes out, it's just spontaneous, and that's why I enjoy doing these videos and talking to people, because it's just effortless. Like, I don't think about what I'm saying, I just go off what I'm getting from whatever the person's saying when they're talking to me. And it could be a lot of shite, but there might be there might be something valuable in there. It becomes so spontaneous and simple. But really good questions. I'm gonna have to leave it for there, but I'll talk to you next time.